Okay, so we are starting the Maimin now, which is called the Chedesh HaShlishi, which is in Parshas Yisroi. This is on page 132 in Torah Ohr. Let's look inside. It says the pasuk, B'Chedesh HaShlishi. Let's say it's Bnei Yisrael Meretz Mitzrayim. It was the third month, the year in leaving Mitzrayim. The Yom Hazan, this day, Boy Midbar Sinai. They came to Midbar Sinai. What was the third month? Which month was it? Sivan. They came, yeah. Hine Nemar, the Alter Rebbe tells us, it says, Stam B'Yom. As they came on this day. V'loy Pirish Be'eza Yom. It doesn't say which day it was. Rak, only Chazal. Sages of blessed memory. Darshu, they expounded. Shehu b'Rosh Chodesh. They said it's Rosh Chodesh. How do you know this? How did they get when it says B'Yom Hazeh? How do they know that this is Rosh Chodesh? So the Alter Rebbe tells us third line down. See if Halcha says over here. B'Yom Hazeh. It says on this day. Meaning on this day they came to Midbar Sinai. Uchziv Hasom. It says over there, this day shall be for you. What is this referring to? This is based on a Gemara on page Pei Vov Shabbos, Masechta Shabbos. It says that the first mitzvah which was given to Klal Yisrael, the first mitzvah was Kiddush HaChodesh, to sanctify the month, make Rosh Chodesh. That was Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Now over there, it says HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem. We have the word Hazeh, and we see in that verse where we're saying Hazeh, it's referring to Rosh Chodesh Nisan. Right? Jewish people have to sanctify. It was the first mitzvah given to Klal Yisrael, the general, the Jews as a whole. And it uses the word Hazeh. And we see over there it means Rosh Chodesh. So there's a concept called the Gezerah Shava. Gezerah Shava means that if I have a word in one place, and the word Hazeh is referring to, in this case, Rosh Chodesh, and then I have Hazeh somewhere else, and it doesn't specify what day it is, because over there it meant Rosh Chodesh, I can learn out that over here it's also Rosh Chodesh. Now just one important detail about a Gezerah Shava. We cannot make up our own Gezerah Shavas. In other words, we can't take a word that it says one place in Torah, and it says, it says Hazeh over here, or Hayom over here, or whatever the word may be, because it says over there, somewhere else, it's the same meaning as it is in the first verse. We can't make up our own Gezerah Shavas. Gezerah Shava, this rule I just told you about, has to have a Mesorah. Mesorah means a tradition. In other words, our sages learned it all the way going back from the revelation on Har Sinai, the Moshe Rabbeinu received, and it was passed down from generation to generation. And we learn now that certain words, if they mean something in one place, you could learn out another meaning in another place. And as to why we made a Gezerah Shava, why didn't we just say it explicitly? Sometimes we want to hint out or to allude to something, teach you something else. Sometimes we wanted to make it shorter, sometimes we wanted to teach you something additionally. But there's a reason. Everything in Torah is perfect. So the Alter Rebbe asks this very question, 2 lines from the bottom. To understand. Why are we calling Rosh Chodesh in the verse with the expression B'Yom Hazeh? Why are we calling it B'Yom Hazeh? Right? Why don't we just say the Chodesh HaShlish, in the third month of the Yidden going out of Mitzrayim? Why don't we say B'Achad B'Chodesh? On the first of the month they came to Midbar Sinai. Why don't we specify it? In other words, why are we saying B'Yom Hazeh? Now we have to say B'Yom Hazeh. Hazeh over there means Rosh Chodesh, and Hazeh over here means Rosh Chodesh. Maybe a person could be confused. As I told you before, everything in Torah is perfect. So if we're doing it with the Gezerah Shava, there must be something we can learn from the word of B'Yom Hazeh. There must be some spiritual meaning, something we want to teach us. So the verse, Alter Rebbe continues further. Last line of the page 132, first column. Yuvan Behektim will understand this. in Mailas Kabbalah Torah. Let's first understand the greatness, the advantage of Kabbalah Torah. Right? What was so special about Hashem giving the Jewish people the Torah? What was accomplished? Now, normally, when something is given to somebody, the person can say, before it was given, I didn't have it. And now that it was given, I have something. I have something now after the gift that I didn't have before. But how could we say that about the Torah, right? And the Alter Rebbe proves this. We can't say that about the Torah, that we're getting something that we didn't have before. We can't say that. Why? Because the Alter Rebbe continues, is it not that koydem matan Torah, before matan Torah, hayu kama tzaddikim, there were many, many righteous people. In other words, they were righteous, they served the Eibishter, they served Hashem. And in fact, they served Hashem by doing the 613 mitzvahs. They served Hashem by even doing mitzvahs d'Rabbanan. Erev Tavshilin they did, making an Erev, when Yom Tov goes into Shabbos, you want to be able to cook on Shabbos. You're not supposed to prepare. Nevertheless, they were able to do that mitzvah as well. Because the avos they put on tefillin, they used sticks, maybe they did certain motions. Not the exact tefillin that we have, but they still accomplished the spiritual, what we call in Hebrew yichudim, the unifications of godliness and drawing down the hamshacha. They accomplished that. So obviously they had the Torah before it was given. So what was the point of Matan Torah? What was the point of Hashem giving us the Torah on Har Sinai? There were many tzaddikim. And not only were they tzaddikim, you had their avos, you had the patriarchs. Hein, they were. HaMerkava, they were a Merkava. What's the word Merkava mean? Merkava is a chariot. They were a chariot. Gam came Kedem. She did not Torah before the Torah was given. In other words, give an example of a chariot. You have a rider who's on a wagon and he's sitting up on the coach, and attached to the wagon you have reins, and the reins are on one end attached to the rider's hand. He can pull, he can steer right, left, and you have on the other end of the reins attached to the horse, or sometimes more than one horse. What happens? The wagon rider, the driver, he's going a certain way, and immediately he notices all of a sudden there's rocks, there's water, something dangerous. He pulls, and as soon as he pulls, what happens? The horse stops. He goes to the right, he goes to the left, he says to go forward. The moment the rider wants something, what happens? The horse is obedient, and as soon as the horse is obedient, what happens to the wagon? It fulfills the will of the wagon driver in an instant. In other words, he was going maybe fast, he's going down, and all of a sudden he notices something. In a second, the wagon driver wanted it a certain way, and with one quick move of the hand, not only does the horse listen, but the whole wagon, because remember, if the horse would do one thing and the wagon would do something else, we're in trouble. Right? Imagine the horse stops but the wagon keeps going. Or the horse goes left and the wagon goes right. That wouldn't work also. He wants it from his brain to his hands, and one little motion, and as soon as he wants it, the wagon does exactly, the Merkava does exactly what the will of the driver is. So that's called bittul. That's called the ultimate level of bittul. Bittul means nullification. Bittul means that I'm an identity, I have something. In other words, you have an existence, but my whole existence is to give myself up and become part of something bigger. That's a simple translation of bittul. For example, I know this is not a Birkas Nenin class, it's not a halacha class about the laws of brachos, but let's just give a quick example about the Jewish blessings and foods. What's the blessing we say on apples? Ha'etz. What's the blessing we say on a piece of cake or something? A marble cake, pound cake, whatever type, your favorite type of cake, mezainis. What happens if I take apples and I mix it in the batter that I'm making the cake? I have to make it one big thing. Then I put it on the oven and I bake it, and now I have the dough from the cake mixed in with the apples, and it becomes one entity. Now I take it out. How many blessings do I say on the apple cake? One or two? One. Why? Which one? Do I make a mezainis or do I make an eitz? Which one do I make? I make a mezainis. What's the reason? You're right, but what's the reason?
The apples are considered nullified to the rest of the cake.
The apples are considered nullified. They're part of the cake. Do they have an existence? They have an existence. Yes, they do have an existence. But their existence is for the benefit of the whole cake. So therefore, although there's something, they're giving themselves up, and they're called batel, and therefore, while being in existence, they're nullified to the batter of the cake, and they don't even get a bracha. In other words, you could have something which is completely nullified, and although it exists, it loses its uniqueness in this case. It becomes part of. It's not an apple alone anymore. It's existing to enhance something else, or to be part of something else. So that's what a merkava is. The merkava in this example we gave, its existence, right, or the way it's designed, is that when a wagon driver wants something and controls it, in a split second, it does exactly the whole wagon, the coach where he's sitting, taking a lot of goods, a lot of valuable objects. Imagine the objects. The horse is going to go one way, and the objects are going to go to the right. He's going to go left, go to the right. All the merchandise could be lost. Nevertheless, the way it's designed is that when a horse goes one way because of the instructions of the wagon driver, everything, the merkava, the seat, the merchandise, everything goes, and it's obedient and exists, and it does exactly what the wagon driver wants. I guess the modern day example of this would be a car, right? Ever drive down the 95 highway here? Sometimes there's some pretty crazy drivers here. I've experienced them many, many times, especially in South Florida here. Try to go to certain lanes and you want to change sometimes, and all of a sudden you get surprises. So if you're a good driver and paying attention, obviously you're not on your device, you have to look right, left, and see what happens, right? Sometimes in an emergency, right, when you see crazy drivers, and a lot of them, by the way, they don't even have insurance. Florida, they have, you have to have insurance for uninsured drivers. That's how crazy it is, because they know that sometimes people hit and run and they don't have insurance. So anyway, sometimes you have a crazy driver and he starts coming into your lane, and all of a sudden in a split second you have to make a decision. You have to turn right, you have to turn left, you have to brake, you have to use gas to go to a different, you have to get out of there, right? I hope that your car is like this example we gave, like a merkava. I hope that if you want to go a certain way and you're going 60 miles per hour, I hope that the moment you want to go right, the moment you want to go left, the moment you want to stop, the moment you want to switch, I hope that car in a split second is going to be completely nullified to doing your will. Because if not, we got problems. He's going that way, and then he's not listening. That's why we have to check our cars, make sure our brakes works, and make sure the steering wheel works, wheel alignment, it's balanced, but we have to make sure. That's bittul. When you have another entity, and it's given up, and it's doing the will of the conductor, right? So we just gave an example about merkava. We gave an example about apples. We gave an example about a car. We're tying this together and saying that was the life of Avram Avinu and the patriarchs, right? They were a merkava. If it was his will, if it was Hashem's will, it was their will. Imagine that. God wanted something to be accomplished. And from the mere fact that he wants it, you could have somebody although being separate, an apple is separate, a Merkava is separate, a car is separate. Avram was a separate human being. He was a separate identity. Nevertheless, despite being separate, my whole identity is given over to a higher power, to a higher being. My whole identity is given over to Hashem. That was Avram Avinu. And they were Merkava. Gam came also before the Torah was given. So the question is, just tying this all together, the Alter Rebbe's question, what was the point of Matan Torah? Matan Torah was given, now I have the Torah, now I could start serving Hashem, I could start doing what He wants, I could reach a high spiritual level. Wait a second, before the Torah was given, Avram Avinu didn't have the Torah. He was doing everything. Not only was he doing everything on the way of a Merkava. The ultimate level of nullification. Couldn't get higher than that. So the Alter Rebbe continues, the matter is, however this matter is, for behold, Ma'ilas Avraham, the greatness, the advantage of Avraham was that he would go, travel, he would journey south. We're going to get a little bit more into Avram Avinu. What was so special about it? He would travel south. Now, literally, we have a rule: the ein mikra yotze midei pshuto. The verse does not go out from its literal meaning. So, literally, he was traveling south. But often, al pi soid, al pi kabbalah, you could add different explanations to the little verse. So, yes, was he traveling south? Yes, he was. But what does it mean he was traveling south? Pirish, the explanation is he was going and journeying from level to level until he came. He got to the level of Negba, south. What does Negba mean spiritually? It's a level of Midas and the attribute of Ava El Yenda, of supernal love. How do we get south and supernal love? What's the connection? So let's say a person is facing east, Mizrach, east. So if he's facing east, right, that means to the left of him is north, straight ahead is east, Mizrach we say in Hebrew, and to the right, that would be south. So when we say that he was traveling south, that represents right. Now, Al-Pi Kabbalah, right, you have intellect, right, which is called Chochmah Bin Das, and you have the right, which is the emotions, which comes after intellect. The right represents Chesed. Left is Gvura, and Tiferes in the middle is a combination of both of them. So when it says that he was traveling south, yes, was he literally traveling on the geographical level south? He was. But he was spiritually trying to reach the level and successfully reaching the level of Avel Yena, of a supernal level of love. Because right represents, right, south represents right, and he was journeying. The Kol Kach, and so much, to a great extent, that he was going, from elevation to elevation, he reached this level of Merkava, mamish, literally. To this level of love, El Yenga, the supernal high level of love.
El Yom.
Yeah, El Yom means above. He reached this, he kept going, and he reached this level where the only important thing in his life was being madly in love with his Creator. Until this level of love affected him, that it was revealed in his neshama. He was on fire. He was shining with love. Next column, page Samach Zayin, or 133 in the Torah Ohr. First word, v'elichazoy, and this going, he mematul milos, from below to above. Mechinas Mitzrayim, from the level of Mitzrayim. Meshach also, like it says, Vayal Avram mi Mitzrayim. As we said before, Ein Mikra Yotzim Nepshutei. Literally, was he going up from Mitzrayim when he was journeying? Yes. He was going up from Mitzrayim. But what does it mean? Al Pi Soyid, Al Pi Kabbalah. The secrets of the Torah. When he was leaving Mitzrayim, The Hainu. What was he leaving? Bechinas Meitzer Gvul. He was leaving the confines and the boundaries. Shemetzar Haguf v'nefesh b'hamas, which were because of the body and the animal soul. Hamagbilim, which limit umalbi shemetz nefesh elokis, and dress the godly soul. Shebe'adam, you have a soul, and the way Hashem made it, the way Hashem created us, is that the soul comes into the body, and the body limits, it confines, it likes to put worldly ideas, pleasures, temptations, and surround the nefesh elokis, shebe'adam, in the person. Avram Avinu was his whole life leaving. He's like, I don't want anything in my life which is only for me, which it feels good, it tastes good, it's a sensation, it's worldly. If it's worldly, but it's for me, I'm not interested in it. I don't want a physical pleasure. He was trying to leave that, and successfully leaving that. The confines of the animal soul and the body, which it has in the godly soul. So what's the issue with the body and the soul? That even though the godly soul can intellectualize and meditate on the greatness of Hashem, and is spreading out his dominion on all the creations, that he's the life of all lives, you enliven everything. In other words, a person can meditate on this, but as long as he has an animal soul, which is, restraining him, and he's doing all these great meditations that you're the life of all lives, the heaven and the earth I fill, I fill the whole world with my glory. Nevertheless, it's not in the power of the neshama to go out from the sheath, the shield, to Meiser Guf, which is the confines of the body, to be, do the service of restraint and transformation. Rather, the body stands in a mightiness and a strength like from when you were born. So in other words, every Jew has a nefesh elokis, a godly soul. It's dressed in the body, right? The body likes worldly things, right? And even though the godly soul is able to meditate and think, this world must come from a creator, there must be something responsible for this, right? Nevertheless, it's hard without intense work, intense soul searching, intense spiritual meditation, and really reflection, to be able to go out, even though you know what's correct, of the confines, the temptations of the body, which is saying the world, the physicality is great. Avram Avinu managed to do this. So God willing, we'll continue tomorrow, and we're going to see exactly how he did it. And it should be a lesson that for us, that what we could strive to being, that we're all, it says that the Yidden were children of Avram, Yitzchak, Yankiv, we're all. And the patriarchs bequeathed a special soul to each and every one of us. And if we tap into that, we could have the power to be able to, be able to serve Hashem and, develop these levels of love, which will help us with our avodas Hashem. Have a wonderful davening. Okay.
Yeshiva Torah Ohr of North Miami Beach.